gets cuter as it grows. It'll be kind of whimsical, especially when it has fruit on it. We have a few fruit trees we want to put in the soil, and we want to do this correctly so that the trees are healthy long-term, produce a lot of fruit, and don't get damaged unnecessarily from the drip irrigation. You want to make sure the lines aren't too close to the trunk. You want to make sure that the trees are oriented so that they're least likely to get damaged to their graft point. So you'd want to angle the tree so that the graft point is facing towards the north, away from the hot afternoon sun. You want to make sure your tree is located in the landscape and spaced far enough away so that when they're the mature size that they will be someday, they have enough room to reach out. These two trees are relatively small, mature sized trees. Genetic dwarf peach tree here and a genetic dwarf nectarine here. And what that means is the rootstock prevents this tree from getting bigger than 5 to 6 feet tall and wide, which is pretty phenomenal that we can have that with a fruit tree, because most trees that are on other rootstocks will get to be 10 to 15, 20 feet tall, even bigger. The next thing you want to know is how deep and wide to dig a hole for these fruit trees. A general rule of thumb is you want to dig a hole that's 3 times the width of the pot and around 1 to 2 times as deep. OB sound like any particular, okay, I can cut. All right, the next step is you make a little bit of a cone in the base of the hole, and this is what the fruit tree will sit on, and the roots will kind of be able to drape down a little bit, and you can just dig a little bit along the edges so the roots can get started, and then you can put the tree in there just to get eyeball. Is the soil level gonna level out with the surrounding grade? In this case, it's a little bit lower, so all you have to do is bring up a little bit of soil in the middle there, raise it up, and do it one more time. So that looks about level with the grade, surrounding grade. We've already pre-watered the pot a few minutes ago while we were digging so that it's not stressed while we plant it. I think it's a 3-gallon pot. You give it a little tap on the sides. And then you want to put your hand right at the root ball and pull the tree out. And you can do it over the hole so some of that soil falls right into the hole. Alrighty. And like I said, there's a graft point. You want to face that away from the sun, so it's better to do it towards the north to the northwest. It'll avoid a lot of direct exposure so it doesn't get in sun damage. And now that this tree, you can massage the roots a little bit, just to get it around that cone you put. And you can double check, is the grade right? It looks like it's a little bit lower, so I might take it out and put 1 shovel full of soil in there. You can form that cone with your hands. And now it looks about level. It's okay if it's a tad bit lower. It's better a little bit lower than a little bit high. And next step, we're going to mix some organic tree fertilizer with some compost and the native soil in a wheelbarrow, and then we'll pour it in. Okay, for trees, apply 1 pound of fertilizer for each inch of trunk diameter, measured 12 inches above the ground by broadcasting over the soil. Because this is going in the tree hole, we're just gonna put in maybe a half of that amount, and then we'll put a little more fertilizer on the surface where that's where you will be adding it in the future for maintenance. So now we're gonna backfill our hole now that the tree is in there. So when you plant the tree and you backfill with the soil, you're gonna wanna create a tiny, just a mini depression around the tree, but raise up around the trunk just a little bit, like a few inches out. So this trunk stays a little bit drier because you wanna water the roots, not the trunk. So once you do that, we'll get a hose and we'll water the hole. And after watering the hole, we'll let the soil kind of settle, and we might have to add a little more soil in there. So after the water's drained from the hole, you'll notice the soil settled just a little bit lower. So we can go back and just add a little bit more soil, smooth it out. And you can also berm up the soil a little bit so that when you're getting this tree established, you're gonna wanna water with the hose a little bit just to make sure the roots get fully saturated. So you just berm around the tree, at least up to the drip line. And then you can water one more time and you're set. Miniature nectarine. Large red-skinned fruit with sugary sweet flavor, covered with bright pink blossoms. If you want your fruit tree to put its roots out into the landscape and have a healthy structure and produce a lot of fruit long term, the best way to do that is make sure the watering is happening around the tree, around the eventual drip line of the tree, which is the edge of where the branches go, because that's how far the roots go. So using a drip system like this, where the water is distributed throughout the landscape and not just focused right at the trunk of the tree, will coax those tree roots to grow out like you want them to. You do not mulch right against the trunk. It might be okay in the short term, but long term, you're gonna have insects that will use that mulch layer and start composting the trunk itself and causing rot and disease. So it's good to just keep a dry ring a few inches out from the fruit tree.